I want to give a shout out to Outmatch Boxing. That's a YouTube boxing channel I'm recommending for you guys. Head on over there and subscribe. He's an upstanding young man who's putting out good boxing videos, so make sure you go and check him out. The Rumford Bull, Johnny Fisher, moves to 3-0. All 3 wins coming by knockout, this time scoring a second-round TKO over Danny Whitaker. Now, Whitaker, a journeyman opponent, had been stopped previously by David Adelaide and also by Nick Webb. Adelaide stopped him in 2, Nick Webb stopped him in 1. So Johnny Fisher stopping him in 2 is really keeping in line with what those other guys managed to do with this guy. So Fisher, as far as I'm aware, from what I remember from the commentary, didn't have an extensive amateur background. He's a very young guy. I think he's just 22 years old, something like that. He's trained by Mark Tibbs. He's big. I think he's about 6'5", 239 pounds. Built like a rugby player. That's what they said on the DAZN commentary, and it's definitely true. If you looked at that guy, you would think he would be playing something like rugby as opposed to being a boxer. Nevertheless, he has chosen to make the squared circle his home, and we're going to see how far he can go with it. He's certainly physically imposing, big, powerful build, looks strong, has plenty of energy, and that's the thing that comes with youth. You see, you might get a heavyweight who's 29, 30, and they're still a prospect. That's not unusual these days. But they don't have the kind of energy that a heavyweight prospect will usually have when they're, as long as they're in shape, when they're in their teens or early 20s. That's when they have this tremendous youthful exuberance. Johnny Fisher has that. He comes flying out the blocks against the journeyman he's fought so far, and he sets about them in aggressive fashion. Now, with Mark Tibbs, I'm interested to see what kind of style they develop for him, given the fact that he is quite tall. I don't know what his reach is because since he's had so few fights, both amateur and pro, there isn't that much information available on him as far as the tail of the tape. But as I say, big imposing guy, plenty of aggression, and that will inevitably lead to exciting fights. Now, because of his age, being very young, the lack of experience, they're probably going to move him very slowly. But once they start putting him in there against people who actually come to give it a go and fight back, you're going to see fireworks with this guy. Whether those fireworks will be in his favor remains to be seen. With a young guy like this, there are so many questions to be answered. Does he have the stamina? Does he have the heart? Does he have the chin? That's always a big one at heavyweight because we've seen other heavyweight prospects over the years, most notably, if we're talking about UK heavyweight prospects, David Price, who was touted as the next Klitschko by a lot of people. That was during a, let's say, dry spell in British heavyweight boxing. No disrespect to David Price, he'd probably agree. But he was highly touted early on in his career. But once he stepped up a level or two, he was found wanting. His stamina wasn't there, his chin wasn't there, and really and truly his self-belief wasn't quite there. I mean, if we go back and look at David Price against Sam Sexton and those kind of guys, yeah, he looked very good, even John McDermott. But when you start stepping up levels, it isn't just your heart, chin, stamina, and so on that gets tested more. It's also your confidence, because generally speaking, the higher you go up in boxing, the more confident the opponents are. Can you match their level of confidence? That's a big one. That's something that a lot of people don't really think about that much. But confidence is very, very important. If you don't have the level of confidence that some of your opponents do, then you better be more talented than them, or you better have something to compensate for the fact that you're not quite as confident as they are. So anyway, lots of questions to be answered about Johnny Fisher. I remember when Daniel Dubois was, well, he's still coming up now really, but several fights ago, there was somebody in the comment section of one of my videos who was adamant that Daniel Dubois was the best heavyweight prospect since a young Mike Tyson. And he went as far as saying, if you don't recognize that this is the best heavyweight prospect since a young Tyson, then you clearly don't know anything about boxing because it's obvious. Now, I tend to be very circumspect with most prospects because being around boxing and watching boxing for as long as I have, you come to learn not to jump the gun. Yeah, there's a lot of factors that come into play with regards to whether somebody's actually going to go all the way or not. I'm not as impressed by physicality now as I was, let's say, 15, 20, 25 years ago. When I was younger, I was more impressed if a guy was athletically gifted, fast hands, and all this kind of stuff. I think, wow, he's clearly going places. Look how fast he is. Look how athletic he is. But the last, I want to say 20 years has really shown me that, yeah, athleticism is a good thing to have, but it's not the be all and end all. There's plenty of guys that had great athleticism, but they didn't really get anywhere, or they didn't get as far as people thought they were going to go. They fell short of maybe championship level, or if they did get to championship level, they didn't last long there. So I don't put as much stock into athleticism as I used to, as I say, 15, 20, 25 years ago. And a lot of younger or newer boxing fans are probably going to make the same mistake I made when I was younger. So anyway, just a quick little video here about the Romford Bull, Johnny Fisher. Seems to have some good attributes there. The youth, the size, looks strong, looks like he hits hard. I mean, the sound of his punches was quite impressive. And it's very different having punches that sound impressive on the heavy bag, or especially on the pads, because they make a lot of boxing equipment today with noise in mind. They have pads now that are designed to make maximum noise when somebody hits them. So you might see a guy hitting the pads, and obviously the trainers are also bringing the hands forward to meet the punches. So you hear these big cracks and huge sounds coming out of somebody's pad session, but then they actually get in the ring for a fight or to spar, and they hit like Paulie Malignaggi. No disrespect to Paulie. So that can be a bit misleading. But when you see a guy in the ring hitting an opponent and the sounds of his punches are impressive, that's usually an indication that, yes, there's a lot of force behind his shots, but he's also connecting cleanly. And I definitely noticed that with Johnny Fisher. There's a good sound that comes from his punches when he connects on these guys. So seems to have some power there, size, strength, decent speed, athleticism. The youth gives you the energy, and he's definitely got that at the moment. So best of luck to him. We'll see how far he can go. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the Romford Bull, Johnny Fisher. And as far as the fight itself, I've been talking about his attributes and how far he can go and all these questions. As far as the fight itself, he did what he had to do. There's not really much to talk about with these type of fights at this very early learning stage for Johnny Fisher. Again, in terms of what happened in the ring, because nothing much really did happen. The opponent was there to make up the numbers, to be a human heavy bag, and he served his purpose. He got clobbered about. There wasn't any kind of huge dramatic knockout or anything like that. He went down. Johnny Fisher actually, I want to say accidentally, hit the guy while the guy was on one knee, and he actually hugged him and helped him up due to that. And it was kind of funny because 1 minute he's hugging the guy, and then a few seconds later he's trying to take his head off again. It must feel strange to the opponent when someone's trying to hug you 1 second, then they're trying to take your head off. So that was what it was. But yeah, not really much to talk about in terms of the actual bout. Hopefully they can get Johnny Fisher some more durable journeymen. Not necessarily ambitious because of the fact that he is very inexperienced, but somebody a bit more durable. Take him a few more rounds, maybe 3, 4, 5 rounds. I guess he's still on 4 rounders at the moment. So let's see if they can get him someone that's going to take him 4 rounds, give him a better workout, allow him to work on different things, and him and his trainer, Mark Tibbs, hopefully can develop some skills and make him a rounded boxer. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about him in the comments below.